arrangement that came in off of our website, and this is actually one of my own designs. It's one of my favorite designs, actually. I called it Shadow Play. So this is a popular arrangement for us, but we don't always have the flowers in stock. So I just wanted to take you through how I make this arrangement, keep my clients happy, and I'm not even gonna make a call about substitutions because I feel really comfortable at this point doing it. The first thing that I do is I kind of really notice the key features about it. So it's sort of an oval sweeping gardeny shape. We have the bubble bowl, and it's got, you know, more of those like creamy, sort of neutral, almost white flowers, and then a lot of like dark purple, almost black. So I went to the cooler to sort of look for what are the things I can keep the same. I did have some scabiosa. I had one of the sort of mauvey pink astrantia. I had the cream stock and a little bit of the purple fernleaf acacia foliage. But other than that, it's kind of just things that are sort of similar. So the hallmark of this design is also all of that texture. You know, you see the roses, okay, which are the key focal. In the picture, it's quicksand, but I actually have Menta roses on hand, and they sort of have that same sort of gray muted tone to them, but just another hue. So I like these because these actually hold up for a really long time. When you feel that rose, it's very firm, and I just find that Menta is a flower that I like to stock in my shop more than a quicksand because it holds longer. So that is going to be an easy replacement for value and for color. And then of course, you guys know I love my seasonal flowers, my locally grown stuff. The original picture has tulips on this other side, but they're in that dark purple. I didn't have that, but I do have some white tulips. So, you know, I'm still using that flower, but pulling it from the other side of the spectrum there. And so we'll kind of have these coming up with the rose. I'm gonna start building out my base. With these bubble bowls, I really, I need sort of a binding mechanic, I find, because when I'm putting this out for delivery, I just find that if I don't secure it in some way, that it moves around on me more than I'm comfortable with. And it also allows me to use less product to sort of like clog the neck and create that framework. So when you're doing a texturally supportive base, one thing that I always try to remember is, and the reason why I use that language is because it doesn't have to be foliage. I think to get out of that old mindset that, you know, it has to be like Pitt and Baker to build out a good base, you have to start thinking about the shape of the design, the colors that you want to work with, and really what is the infrastructure of that base. Is it, you know, branchy? Because flowers like the status can be really branchy as well. So sometimes I'll just use like a pit and then some wax flower because that offers me a supportive base with some color. So your wax flower can kind of work as double duty for you. So as you can see, I have just sort of splayed my stems out and cut them to the length so that my base is just sitting right there along the rim of the vase, and it's already got the basic roadmap of the design shape that I'm making. So now I'll just go in with these heucher leaves, and in a bubble bowl, because you're going to see the stems, I do try to follow that spiral stem insertion pattern just so that it creates not only a supportive base for my insertions, but also it looks really nice. So if you're gonna see the water, it's not gonna look, you know, all ratty. The reason why I like working with a rubber band is because if you use a bind wire, it stays really tight. But when you use a rubber band, there is some flexibility there. So if I want to take one of my stems that I cut a little bit longer and actually feed that into your base, the rubber band will stretch and kind of allow you to put that stem inside of the bind, which makes it a little bit more secure. I find it's a little bit difficult to do that when you are working with something like a wire. And I don't know if you can see this, but inside this arrangement, we are still very empty in the middle, and it's not really affecting my hold. So another reason why I really like the rubber band binding technique is because it almost works in the way like a chicken wire or a foam would, which is that you can really outline your design and only use what is absolutely necessary, which means it's actually be better for your budget because you're not filling your base with unnecessary product just to ensure a good hold. So now I can come back in, and what goes into the middle, I don't have to use an expensive stem of acacia or dusty miller. I could probably go back into the cooler, find my least expensive material and just sort of plug that into the middle, and it really won't affect the look of the arrangement at all. So after getting all of my sort of basics inserted, the things that we absolutely sort of needed to have, I calculated the rest of the money that I had. This design is $129, and so I went back, I looked at the photo to see what's been a hit, what's been a miss. And overall, it just felt like it needed a bit more texture because the original design was like so fluffy. So this was just a one-off random dianthus in the cooler, and I'm going to put him right down into the center here, not so low that we can't see him, but I do want to offer just a little bit of contrast down in here because, you know, this heuchera stem, you're kind of missing what's so good about that scabiosa in front of it. So I also have a little bit of alstroemeria, which I happen to love alstroemeria. I think it's sort of a pedestrian bloom that has a lot of legs on it, so it's super long lasting, it's really inexpensive, and there's so much tonal variation in it that I just always keep a mixed box on hand because it really does a lot for me. So I'm gonna use this down in the center, and it really matches the tone of that Minta rose. So it's just sort of a continuation of that. Okay. So that looks good. Then I brought in some Artemisia to sort of help the light side out, have a little bit more dance up at the top. Because while I like a stalk, sometimes it ends on too much of a blunt line, and I think it's nice to bring in something that's a little bit dancey up there. Okay, so here we have my completed design using all the substitutions along with the original. So I hope you can kind of see that. I feel like there's not a lot of difference here at all in the end sort of overall feelings of the design. We've used a lot of different product, but the value is there. I haven't gone over budget either. A lot of these locally grown summer blooms were a little bit more cost effective than some of the things that I had put in the original design. So I actually was able to use a little bit more stem count by doing some substitutions. So just making some little final tweaks to the shape. So it's good to have sort of like finishing checks that you do before you send out a design, just to make sure that it's something that you're proud of and you feel like represents, you know, the artistry of your business. So yeah, feel great with that. The back does not look like a back, and we're ready to go.